Okay, we're getting started. And good day. And today is the Kickstart Kitchen, week 6 of 6. And we are going to be doing some fun stuff today. Like every time, we're going to do a porcupine balls. Okay, porcupine balls. It's an old historic kind of recipe that was used a while ago, back when we were kids, when I'm 70 plus. But it was a recipe. It was used for just kind of fun. And it's kind of a meatball recipe. And it's going to involve using a burger and some rice. That's the porcupine balls, okay? And but we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to be making it with resistant starch. Okay, so we're going to be using rice that we cooked yesterday and cooled it. And so we're going to be using and talking about using resistant starches. So rice normally is a grain that you wouldn't eat if you're looking to lose weight, perhaps in the American culture, and or you have diabetes, blood sugar issues, that type of thing. But if you cook it, and we'll talk about it technically, we'll geek into it a little bit, and then cool it basically overnight, it reformulates itself to become what's called a resistant starch. So that's what we're going to be using, that rice. So the porcupine ball is going to be kind of fun to do. We're going to start. I've got the rice right here I made yesterday. And we're going to add to that, to create this porcupine ball. I'm going to start with some onion. And we'll chop that right here. And we're going to add some chopped onion to our rice. Now the rice has been cooled overnight. We cooked it yesterday and cooked it like that on purpose. Now, in a lot of cultures, rice is a complete staple. Just like in the U.S., for most people, potatoes back in the day were a staple, especially in South Dakota where I was raised. And I'm Filipino, so rice is a staple that way too, isn't it? In our house, we had a 100-pound bag of rice, a 100-pound bag, a bin that had rice in it at the total of 100 pounds. And everybody in our family, from the time you were a kid, young kid, as quick as you could hold a pan up and dip it into the bin and use the rivets to know how much water to put in. And you guys all know the finger rule, right? When you put in rice in a pan, we do that to make rice. And rice was at least twice a meal, twice a day, every day. Potatoes were a rarity, and they were really a luxury. But if we went to any of our friends' houses, and they were the community was predominantly Mennonite Lutheran, German, High Germans, Low German Swedes in the area, the Cheddars and the Hogfors and the Waltners and the Kraneslessers and the Grabels and the Heckenleibels and Waltners and Walters, and then you got into the Weirs and Schrogs and Stalls and Peaties and Hofers and Melhas. Those are family farm names. Pullmans, Whips, Andersons, Butchicknaus. Those were the names of this little small town that we were raised in. Originally, we started in Iroquois. And Iroquois was a town that had dirt streets and board sidewalks, and Dad had the clinic in the house. So we were the Catholic Filipino family in towns that didn't have that as a population, in a state that didn't even have Filipinos in it. So, yeah. So we or raised in a culture of cultures that we didn't have. So that's where we learned to cook lots of different ways, lots of different foods, lots of different styles. And so that's kind of what I have fun doing here. So we're going to add some onion in here. Got it chopped up. That's enough. Don't want to use all of that. Just want to have a little nuance in there. And in this recipe, traditionally, you use like tomato soup. Well, we're going to do it a little bit differently. Here's some Worcestershire sauce. I'm going to put some Worcestershire in here. Not that much. We're going to add, because it's my recipe, we're going to add some cayenne. Just a little bit. That's a nuance. We're going to add some garlic. And we're going to add some smoked paprika. And let's see if that was enough. Is that enough to open it? Nope, gotta let it go some more. So let that run around some more times. We'll throw in the hamburger. Now this is not your normal wrap, right? You're exactly right. This is farm raised, local farmer. This is chuck, and that's going in. So this is a chuck ground. Okay. And that sauce can open up some more. And we're just going to start getting this ground beef and the rice incorporated. Now, if you're normally making porcupine balls, you're using uncooked rice because that's the recipe how it's done. But because we're trying to make this with the resistant starch, we took the rice and we cooked it the day before. And now we have a resistant starch. Now, what's the great thing about that is, let's talk about this. When we have a starch, a normal starch turns to sugar, correct? If you didn't know, now you do. Starches turn into sugar, glucose. And a normal starch goes right away into and absorbed fast, just like any other carbohydrate. Goes in through the stomach and also in the small intestine. But as a resistant starch, what happens is that it's been changed. The composition has been changed. The chain has been broken a little bit. And we're going to take on some of this tomato sauce and we're going to put it in our mixture. Just a little bit, about that much. And being it's my recipe today, we're going to add some green chilies to this too in a minute. So what happens is once we have it as a resistant starch, like a insoluble starch, if you will, becomes more like that, an insoluble starch. And insoluble starches are what you really want to start eating. You really want to start having in your diet is factoring in having insoluble fiber. Why? Because it's not for you. It's for your biome. It's for the gut bacteria. It's for your biome, especially in your lower intestinal tract. Why? Because that is critical for your moods. That's critical for your digestion. It's so critical for so many different things. It actually helps create butyrate. And I know that's getting a little bit geeky. We'll talk about that in a second. Is it open yet? Nope, gotta go around that a couple times. Okay, fine. We're opening up the can. There we go. What I'm opening up is a can of diced tomatoes and green chilies. Now, normally when people would make uh, porcupine balls, a lot of times the recipes call for like tomato soup. But we're not going to do it that way because I just don't do that kind of thing. Cool. All right, so we're going to get rid of some of this water. Let that drain a minute. So yeah, so this is what we're doing is porcupine balls. So we have some onion in here. We have some cayenne in here. We've got our rice in here that's already been pre-cooked and chilled, so it's become a resistant starch, and it's going to pass through the upper intestines, the small intestines, and not be used as absorbed. It won't be turned to that carbohydrate starch that you're normally used to seeing. And it's going to actually feed our biome, our gut biome, and we want that. So we're going to add some of the tomatoes and chilies in here, and the rest is going to be used for our sauce. The rest is going to be used in the sauce that this is all going to bake in. So that over here. Perfect. All right, so we're going to get this incorporated, and we'll start making our meatballs. Okay, so now we've got chilies and chili and cayenne pepper, the tomato sauce in here. Going to be forming these into some nice meatballs. We got the rice in here. You can see how the rice is already in there and already ready to go. So I'm going to form these. I'm going to saute them a little bit. Going to pre-cook them a little bit. We've got the oven going. Let's get the oven going. So the oven's getting heated. We got our pan started to go in here. We're going to start forming some meatballs. Here we go. That one in there. Another one. So I'm just using this bowl, this bag that I use to kind of blend to form the balls in them. See how that's going? I'm just going to kind of brown these in the pan. Some more. I'll make fairly large balls here. Fairly large porcupine balls. I know you 7th graders. Okay. Yeah. So you kind of got them rounded. Kind of get them into the pan. Probably get about 6 out of here. So that makes nice little packets, right? That makes some sense? Sure. Thanks. Appreciate your comments. Thank you very much. Okay. Probably get 2. Yeah, 2 more. Yeah. All right. All right. There we go. There we go. Get one last more bug going. All right. Inside. So the onions, rice, the seasonings. I'm going to saute these up a little bit, brown them up a little bit. I'll just mix this last one up and give it to you. You get it. There you go. Okay. So we got that ready to go. Get this out of the way. And we'll talk over here. So we have these guys getting ready. We're going to get toasted up a little bit, kind of brown a little bit, and then we'll put them in the pan because we have the saucepan, right? That the sauce, they'll go in there. And we'll bake it. I need a bigger pan. Yeah, I'm going to have to have a little bit bigger pan. All right. Cool. So, yeah, so now we have that. When they're done, they're going to go baked in here. They'll bake in there. All right. Now today we're going to talk also, we're going to look to do a little beurre blanc because I've been asked to do a fish dish. And to do a fish dish, I was going to do what would be fun to do with a fish dish. And so I looked into the freezer and we have some Chilean sea bass, some really nice looking Chilean sea bass. So we're going to do a beurre blanc. Now, the difference between a beurre blanc, a hollandaise, and a béarnaise is we won't be using egg. The difference between a béarnaise, a hollandaise, and what we'll be doing, which is such that we don't use an egg in there. Hollandaise, you use an egg. Béarnaise, you use an egg. Okay. The blanc, we just use butter, white wine, white vinegar, some cream, a lot of butter, a lot of butter, a lot of butter. So beurre blanc, we're going to be using that. So we've got the burgers starting to cook over here so we can put them into the oven so they can bake in the sauce. So we're talking really about the metabolic health. So this is the reason that we're doing this is because I'm a type 2 diabetes survivor. Yeah. Hi, Sue. Hi, Builder Sue. Love you. You're doing great. I hope you enjoy some of those songs that did that. I just got kind of on a wild goof, but yeah, I am a type 2 diabetes survivor. What do I mean by that? Is I'm alive. And a lot of people that have been in the condition I was and less are not with us anymore. So yeah, I've been known as Mr. Belly So Big. I've also been known as maple syrup. Why? Because I ate myself into complete metabolic chaos. Complete metabolic chaos. And when I tell you that, I don't take that lightly. And my passion, the reason I'm here, is to try to help educate and keep you from going down that path. Let me grab one thing real quick. You know, sometimes people have symptoms and signs. And I'm sorry if it's backwards, guys, because I tried to get everything adjusted today and I didn't quite get it done. But I created a list of 68 symptoms. 68 symptoms, possible symptoms that you could have because of insulin resistance. Type 2 diabetes is one of them. Of 68 symptoms, I had 58. Now, that's not something to be proud of. That's not a record. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. That's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about trying to help educate and teach everyone, because I don't want you to go down the path that I did. I should have died. my numbers, my medical numbers, my test numbers were critically emergency need care. My fasting blood glucose was 834 with an A1C of 18.1. I should be dead. I should have been in a coma. I should have had cardiovascular disease. I should have had kidney failure. And 100 other different things should have happened. None of them did. God kept me around without reservation to make sure that I let you guys know not to do that. I believe that food got us into this mess. Food will get you out of this mess. That's why I'm here to teach and do this. All right, does that make some sense? I hope it does. One of my great first heroes was a wonderful person by the name of Dr. Sarah Hallberg, who's now deceased, unfortunately. She used to say, and you could look her up in a TED Talk, Sarah Hallberg. She was the first that I ever heard say, why do we medicate for a lifestyle and health dietary created disease? Why are we medicating for such a thing? And she's right. Why? Medication does nothing but hide or mask symptoms. It doesn't fix it. It doesn't fix it. Why don't we take care of the problem? You know why they don't take care of the problem? Because they couldn't sell you anything else. Think about that. What's causing what you have, any of these symptoms, what's causing this, they have a pill for, they got a yum-yum for, they got a shot for, that you can come back every month, every 6 months, every 3 months to get more. But it doesn't fix it. It doesn't fix it. It does not fix it. Why are you wasting money on something that they're not fixing? Do you know why triglycerides aren't a problem? Do you know why triglycerides aren't a problem? Because they don't have a pill to sell you right now. Do you know why cholesterol is a big deal? Because they got pills. Do you know why like plaque, Alzheimer's plaque, they have medications for that? Why? Because they got a pill for it. That study was falsified, was fraudulent. And yet they have pills so they give it to you. Does it fix it? Heck no. Food got us into this mess. Food get us out of this mess. You want to figure out how to take care of yourself? 1, let's change our lifestyle. 2, let's change our diet. 3, you'll be able to get off the medications by and large. Think about it. I mean, the most times, what's the most medical advice you get for health, for eating? It's what? Move more and eat less. Oh, brainstorm, eureka. What does that even mean? That means they don't know. It means that they told you the things that some of us are passionate about teaching you and telling you and having you learn, and be educated, they would lose you as a commission. They would lose you as a patient because they won't need you. If we get you healthy, you won't need to spend money at the gym. We get you healthy, you won't need to spend money on diet plans, on exercise plans, on diet books, on nutrition books. We get you healthy, you will understand that you can do what I did. I am a type 2 diabetes survivor. End of story. And how do we know that? Because I had 834 with an A1C of 18.1. That's critical emergency care needed. I walked out of the clinic with no medication, no intervention. In 107 days on this protocol, my blood glucose went down to 90 and fasting down to 7, or A1C went down to 7.2. Now that's still diabetic at 7.2. I get that. But from 18.1 to 7.2 on an exponential scale in 107 days, no medication, no drugs, no special diets, no counting calories, no nothing like that. Simply drinking 2 chlorogenic acid teas and a fiber, 3 drinks a day, How simple is that? Not having to count, exercise, do all kinds of other things. That you guys pay how many thousands of dollars? How much money have you spent on drugs, diet pills, shots, just for weight? How many programs have you been into and out of to try to take care of that belly? Guys, I'm at a 28-inch waist. I'm 73 years old. I've gained 9 pounds. I'm gaining lean muscle. I've lost 14 inches, gained 9 pounds at 73. How? Because food got us into this mess. Food can get us out. So the meatballs are doing great here. I just got to open up the lid and turn them over, turn them around. Oh yeah, they're coming along just fine. Yeah, we're going to be able to put these in the pan just fine. Cool. All right. So that's me. That's part of the story. Mr. Belly so big to maple syrup. Why was I maple syrup? Because 834, I didn't have blood sugar. I had maple syrup going through my body. Want to let you know that on November 8th in Miami, if you're so inclined, and Builder Sue has a ticket for you if you want it, just get a hold of her. She's right on here. Or to get a hold of me, tickets, and I'll pass it on to you, her name to you. On one stage, we have Dr. Seaman, author and host of Fit and Fabulous podcast. Dr. Carlos, The Metabolic Miracle. Dr. Nick, CrossFit expert, certified trainer. Cynthia Thurlow, a CEO and nurse practitioner, author of The Intermittent Fasting Transformation. Dr. Ben Bickman. Dr. Ben Bickman he's the author of Why We Get Sick. He's going to be on stage with us. Dr. Jason Fung, the obesity code, the diabetes code, going to be on stage with us. Nina, boy, you can see her a lot on interviews across the networks, and she's author of The Big Fat Surprise. They're going to be on stage with us November 8th in Orlando. We'd love to have you join us. If you'd like a ticket, just put ticket in the chat, and we'll make sure we get that information to you. Jason Fung, Dr. Jason Fung, Dr. Ben Bickman, Cynthia Thurlow, Dr. Nick, Dr. Carlos, and Dr. Jamie Seaman, all on stage. Now, we've already had a special private conference with Dr. Mindy Peltz and Ben Bickman. That's how strong we are about education. That's how much it's our passion that we want to be knowledgeable and be on the cutting edge of knowing the right things to help improve our health and share the message with you. That's really part of the deal. Because I don't want you to look like Mr. Belly so big. I don't want you to be Mr. Maple Syrup. I want you to be over here. I want you to have the nice, fit, happy body that you want to have. Okay? Again, I've lost 14 inches. I've gained 9 pounds. My blood glucose went from 834, uncontrolled, unmedicated, no medication for blood pressure or anything else, down to 70, 7.2 on the A1C and 90 on fasting blood glucose. And the reason we have the issues, guys, is because we're simply eating too often. We're simply eating too often. How many of you have been told to eat 3 meals a day and then have snacks, right? Every 2 hours have snacks. Yeah. What happens when you do that? What happens when you do that is you guarantee yourself that you are going to eventually walk down the path to what? Type 2 diabetes. Why? Because you eventually overfill your system with fat. Because sugar gets stored as fat. Eventually, you fill this whole system up with fat, so even the blood glucose from that the Oreos that you ate at 10 and the almonds that you ate at 11 and the meal you ate at noon and the snack you had at 1 and the smoothie you had at 3 and the caffeine cup that you had at 4 on your way home and the dinner you had at 7 and then the popcorn you had at 8, then the ice cream you had at 10 before you went to bed, all of those are still there. They're all still there. And what happens is they turn into these things. They turn into these symptoms, whether it's neurological and cognitive, metabolic and digestive, cardiovascular and blood markers, physical appearance and skin, urinary and hydration, hormonal and reproductive, plus the regular maladies. This is what happens. This is exactly what this looks like when you do that. And so we want to help teach you to avoid those situations. So let me get back over here. Sorry about that. So what happens is that if we can control when we eat and how we eat, we can control whether we're burning fat or sugar, because you can only burn one or the other. You don't burn sugar and fat at the same time. And you cannot burn fat when you're burning sugar, and you can't burn fat until the sugar's out of the system. So that's why some of us started losing our hair. Some of us grew acne. Some of us grow hair in our face, girls. Some of us start having skin tags and acanthus nigricans, those brown, black patches on our skin, legs, even knuckles, elbows, gout, PCOS, Guy's ED, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, sarcopenia, type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, frequent urination, day and night, polyuria, right? You can't lose weight. You start gaining belly fat, right? Your joints are inflamed, your itises, gingivitis, your gums start to bleed. You have frequent infections, UTIs, yeast infections, chlamydia. You start getting just all of those. Toe fungus, yeah. Gingivitis, retinopathy, neuropathy. I mean, the list, there's 68 over here. And I had 58 of them. And it's because we're not burning it because we're eating too often. So one thing you can do to help yourself immediately is stop snacking. Stop snacking. Just stop snacking. Eat maybe twice a day. And then if you have to snack, snack between the meals. Not before and not after. If you're going to snack between the goalposts. You're going to score in the eating zone, right? Score between the meals. Two meals. And if you have to snack then. Because you're burning glucose at that spot. So let's just burn glucose, get that out of the way. How does that sound? That sounds pretty easy to do. Because when you eat, what most of you do, if you don't follow the next lesson I'm going to give you, you eat your carbs first. You're heavy with your carbs. When you're heavy with your carbs, you spike that glucose. You spike that insulin, and it looks like that. You want to make it simpler like this, don't you? Which is cleaner, this or this? This is cleaner. What's even cleaner is eating between the goalposts. Eating between what? Scoring and eating between the goalposts. Now, if you are on thyroids, you're probably taking your thyroid medication. I'm not your doctor. I'm not your pharmacist. But if you're taking it by the circadian rhythm, you're probably taking your thyroid like at 10 in the morning. And if you're following that kind of pattern, you're going to eat in the next 30 minutes. So at 10:30. So you're going to take your thyroid medication at 10. You're going to start eating at 10:30. That's your first meal. And then maybe your second meal is going to be at 5:30, 6 or sometime. What makes sense for you, right? And if you have to snack in there, but just snack inside the zone, not out of it on either side. Because then what's going to happen is we're going to control what we're doing. And when we talk about the resistant starch, this is an article I just want to show you. What happens is resistant starch is a healthier starch. It isn't fully digested in your body like regular fiber is. what makes it resistance is that it starches. There's two kinds there's amylose of polysaccharides. There's amylose and amylopectin. Now, amylopectin is higher and easily digested. That's what we don't want. And when we make rice normally, for example, or potatoes normally, noodles normally, you cook it, those chains get stretched out, you eat it, that's absorbed real quickly. It's in the upper, smaller intestine. Boom, you spike your glucose. But if you cool it like this, now what happens is that now it becomes high in amylose, which is resistive of being absorbed, right? It resists it, so it passes through the stomach, passes through the small intestine, and gets down to the large intestine, which is where the gut biome is critically needing of this starch. And so it slows the digestion. Now it's going to feed those guys. And you want those guys. So if you have IBS, Crohn's, leaky gut, some of those, you have destroyed your lower biome, where you're the home of your good bacteria. The bad guys, the bad gremlins are winning. So you want to get as much resistant starch, insoluble fiber there, because that is also, if you're in mood swings, where if you need some serotonin and dopamine, it's down here in the gut. 80% of that's made here. You think about it as a brain emotional thing, but it's stimulated and it's created in the gut. And the reason you have these huge bad swings and irritability and that is because you're short on the good bacteria being fed. You want to feed good bacteria? Get insoluble fiber added to your gut. We're talking how much? 35 guys, 20 some girls, right? In grams per day. What are you doing and what's your count? Some of you count calories. Why? Calories squat diddly. Count your fiber. Make fiber more important than your carbohydrates. Why? Because eat fiber first. You want to eat fiber first. Why eat fiber first? Because it's satiating. It fills you up. Okay? In this soluble fiber, the gel-like fiber will go into the gut and coat it. And then the inside will continues on and helps feed the good bacteria. Now, what does that look like? Well, it looks like this. If you take a supplement, this is one that you could do. This is what I do. Before I eat, I use this blend of soluble and insoluble fiber. And I use this before almost every meal, especially like if I'm going to have pizza, I'm going to have this. I'm going to have, we just did this last weekend in Central Illinois, there's a festival called Spoon River Drive. If you know Spoon River Drive, you know it is quite the deal. It's multiple towns in multiple counties. They have a fall festival. There's lots of craft shows, lots of crap shows, lots of garage sales. I think some people buy junk over here and go over there and sell it next weekend. I don't know. But one of the things is there's all kinds of food. And I knew I was going to have some of that kind of food. Okay, I just did because I do. I give myself the latitude to do that. Well, one of the things that happened was that's normally where I have my funnel cake. I get one annual funnel cake. Well, I couldn't find my funnel cake because there's so darn many bees and everything everywhere. But we did find this Mennonite group that were making fry pies. Have you ever had a fry pie? Oh, by the way, now I'm going to pour. Look how thick this is. See how thick this is? The thickness is the soluble fiber. That's the gel. And what that does, the gel coats my gut, coats my lining, coats my intestinal lining, all the way through the stomach and down past the duodenum and all the way down to the small. And it goes, it coats my gut. And now it fills me up. So fiber first. Then I'm going to look to have what next? Fat. Good fat. Fat does not make you fat. If you still believe that, drop a book on your foot. No, don't drop. Fat does not make you fat. It's a lie. They sold you to try to sell you away from good fats like butter, ghee, animal fats. Yeah. To get you to buy what? Their cheap, crappy oils, seed oils. Cheap, crappy oils. If you want to buy good oils are good. Fats is an avocado. An avocado is what? Fiber and fat. Is an avocado bad? No. Is avocado oil bad? No. Olive oil bad? No. It can be bad if it's blended and it's not true. Coconut oil, MCTs, right? That's good oil. But some of this other stuff, come on. Be real. Be real. I do a whole lesson on that kind of thing. So you want to then have your proteins and then your carbs. Because you want to, if you're going to do the carbs and go in between the goalposts. That makes some sense? Because I don't want you like this. All right, I'm going to put these meatballs. I'm going to transfer them into the sauce. I'll be right over here. Grab the spoon. Okay. Put them in. Oh, nice. Of course, I've made this little with the sauce. It has chilies, tomato sauce. Even the burgers have chilies and onion. It's kind of like making a meatloaf, guys. It's kind of like making a meatloaf in a way, but I'm using rice. Okay, and we're going to take this and put it in the bakery, the oven, 375. And that's going to go in for about 20 minutes. All righty, perfect. All right, so now so like there's some meals we've done already. See how nice those are? All right, so now let's work on the next thing I promised some friends I would do, because I said, what should I make? And one of them said fish. And so I said, okay, great. I've got some nice Chilean sea bass. Wild caught Chilean sea bass. Harvested in the clean southern waters of the ocean, the South Georgia Island in Australia, right? Sea bass. Contains sea bass. That's it. And so this is going to be the fish we're going to use. What we're going to do is we're going to create a bouillon. And to do that, to do that, we're going to start with a shallot. Whoops. Got the pan started a little bit too soon. So a shallot. What's a shallot? This is a shallot. Okay, it's kind of like a cross between a garlic and an onion. It has a nice flavor. It's got a different kind of flavor. I'm not a huge onion fan. Some of you are. Great, you love it. I don't. That's not my go-to flavor, if you will. But it is layered like an onion would be. And so what we're going to do is we're going to microplane it in here. Get a nice layer in here. One thing about using a microplane is that keep your fingers out of the way. So you can see how we got that microplaned in there. Nice, okay. And the next thing we're going to do, we're going to add some lemon zest. Again, use the microplane. Use the microplane. I'll make sure everybody can see that. See how we get the microplane in here? Just getting the lemon zest in. Now, sometimes people will use an orange, and that's fine too. I just happen to use lemon because I happen to have lemon. And we just want the zest. We don't want the white. We don't want the bitter. Okay. All right, so we got that in there. Now we're going to grab, I got some right here. Guess I got moved. Come around and grab some wine. Some white wine. All right. Now we can turn the heat on. We add a little bit of white wine. We're going to add a little bit of white wine vinegar. Oopsie. Okay. The white wine vinegar. We're starting to get this to go. Kind of on about a medium heat. And we're going to add some cream. Heavy whipping cream. Cool. Now again, the difference with this, as opposed to with a Beurre Blanc, as opposed to a Hollandaise or a Béarnaise sauce, is we're not using an egg. We're not using a roux in terms of flour. Well, I should turn you guys a little bit here. I want you to see what's going on a little better. Sorry about that. All right. And we're going to start getting this to go. If you have any questions in the chat for me, go ahead and ask me, because I want to make sure if I can answer them, I will. we've been doing this 6-week challenge, and we've got 2 more days of meals to make for you. So I'd love to have some questions or have some suggestions. So we're getting this to start going on. Again, we have shallots and lemon, white wine, vinegar, and some white wine and some cream. Good. And what we're going to start doing, we don't want this to boil at all. So we'll keep the heat down, and then down towards low. And we start stirring butter in, cold butter into the sauce. That's what we do, just kind of keep it cold butter to get the sauce creamy. Does that make sense? There we go. You guys can see this okay? Good. We're not going to boil this, otherwise it will separate. We do not want it to separate. No divorces in our pan. Going with 2. I'm going to continue to stir. The sin with making this sauce is letting it boil and or separate. So you want to keep it moving, keep it stirring. Much kind of like the other day when we did the when we had that fun other sauces that we did, right? You remember that last week? Yeah. When we did the coquille Saint Jacques, how we blended that through and used the technique of using an egg instead of a flour roux. Exactly. So we want to make sure that if we can, that we are able to cook cleanly, neatly, smoothly, and healthfully. Look how much better, and sometimes, oh, you're so bourgeois. I'm like, no, this is easy. How hard is this to do? It's beautiful, simple, easy to do to maintain this kind of cooking. It's not that hard. It's simple, using good ingredients. And if I can do it at 70 plus, you guys can do it, right? Now what'll happen is as this, I'll sign you guys out, of course, and I'll keep finishing this sauce, but it'll be a nice, thick, creamy sauce. And then tonight we'll broil. Well, maybe I'll put them on the grill. But I'm going to do those beautiful Chilean sea bass till they're just opaquely tender. They'll be white and flaky. The secret with fish is not to overcook it. Overcooking fish is just a disgrace. Overcooking scallops, overcooking shrimp. Guys, here's a trick. When you cook shrimp, okay, if it's in a shape of if it's long and it gets to a C, that means it's cooked. But if it shrinks up to an O like this, its tail starts touching each other, that means it's overcooked. So that's one of the easiest way to tell if your shrimp are done. If they are in a C, an open sea like this, if they're open in an open sea like this, that means they're cooked. But if they are like this, they are overcooked. That's when they're tough. When you have scallops should be soft but firm. I know that sounds like a contradiction in words, but scallops should be white. When they are white and a little bit bouncy, they're done. When they're not the opaque, clear, foggy, if you will, even plexiglass look, they're done. When they are white-ish, they're done. See how this sauce is thickening? Look at this. See how this is just coming right along? We're just constantly stirring, nothing vigorous, keeping cold butter in there. We're not doing what? We're not letting it separate. We have cool butter. Look how this is thickening up. Oh my gosh, this is delicious. This is so good. Okay. A couple more and we're done. And Kim and Andrew, this one's really for you. Because now I have this sauce, and I'll take pictures of the finished product, guys, with the Chilean sea bass. But look how thick the sauce is getting. Oh, Cheryl's gonna love this. Just need to add a little bit of salt. So a little bit of salt. Just a little bit of salt. That's enough. Oh yeah, look how nice this looks. Mm. Yep, it's gonna be great. A Burle Blanc, a French style buttercream sauce made specifically for our seafood tonight. Grab a spoon, just have a taste. Oh yeah. Yum. Woo-wee. You know, I'm going to add to that, I'm going to add some tarragon. I love tarragon. And that's done. That'll be done. So, guys, thank you for coming on board today. I love your comments. If I can answer anything, please let me know. I'll see you guys on Wednesday at noon. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for staying.